Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive talking nerd, John Norgrove. We've got Wife here. It is Saturday. You're going to start getting Saturday videos because we need to review every episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, and I don't want to ruin the schedule that I already have. So, now we're doing 6 videos a week. I don't.
At least for now.
This is a fucking thing. Pretty much until Star Trek stops making stuff is going to be the solution on this one. So forever, if I have any.
Does that mean we can call it Star Trek Saturdays?
I guess.
Yes.
I guess we can call it Star Trek Saturdays. Star Trek Saturdays, or whatever. Look for the shirt. This is episode 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks. The episode title is Envoy. And the cold open for this episode is Ensign Mariner and Ensign Tendi moving a cart full of canisters, like just empty canisters, to engineering or whatever the heck. And some sort of fifth dimensional, like, uber god being shows up and is just like supplicate to me. And
they are not fake.
Ensign Mariner just like tackles this thing to the ground and tries to stuff it in a can. And basically gets a wish out of it. So she gets one of the new tricorders with the purple stripe, which I'm going to be real, they're pretty gangster, so that's fair.
Yeah.
And then
but it depletes the size of the
depletes
entity.
it. And then of course she's like, "What's up? There's no power crystal in this. Like, what are you gonna give me a toy with no batteries? It's bullshit." And so it creates the power crystal, and it becomes like this tiny little thing. And then they like just leave the cart and just like fuck off to the bar. Right, and of course that's when the captain and I think it's the captain and the first officer or the captain and one of the bridge crew walk around the corner, and the little like entity comes flying at her chest and just like poofs away into nothingness, which is fucking solid, man. Because you gotta think,
so good.
if these asshole extra dimensional creatures are fucking with Federation ships all the time, you'd think that people would start to get used to it and just like
it would be like very whatever. Like they've already figured it out. They know how to deal with
it. Solid open on this one, and then it brings us into the main storyline. So this is following the sort of like traditional Star Trek trope with there being an A plot and a B plot. So the A plot is Ensign Boimler is assigned this he's assigned this important mission, but really he's just an envoy. He has to deliver the Klingon delegate to the planet's surface to sign some peace treaty or some nonsense. And of course Ensign Mariner, because Boimler's like up here with shit, is Ensign Mariner's just like, don't worry, that sounds lame, and then shows up. And come to find out, she's homies with the Klingon, and
they're talking and hanging out,
they're like fighting and getting drunk,
and they're like singing drinking songs and stuff.
It's great.
Clearly, they knew each other. And I think probably the best joke is, she's like, "I know him from before," and he's like, "What do you mean before?"
Well, she's like, "I know him from back in the day," and he's like, "We're the same age. What back in the day?" So it's
so good.
It's really good. The A plot is your standard issue Starfleet action adventure. The Klingon runs away with the shuttlecraft, and they have to cross through several different species territory on this planet. And of course, Boimler's like fucking high strung about everything, and Hella, shut up. There you go. And Mariner's just like, "Oh, don't worry," and it's like doing whatever she wants to do and stuff. So, that obviously everything ends happy. Everything results good. They're able to get him there drunkenly, barely in the nick of time. And they get back to the ship. Of course, the whole time in this episode, Boimler is wearing the dress uniform that goes all the way down to the knees, which is solid.
Because he's so excited, he wants to be fancy.
Be like super fancy. There's also like his like backpack, like the luggage that he's carrying has the Klingon symbol on it and shit. It's
very
great.
adorable.
It's great. And then the B plot for this episode is Ensign Rutherford and Ensign Tendi's what I'm going to start calling burgeoning relationship. Because Ensign Rutherford is spend 5 days in the Jeffries tubes scrubbing out EPS conduits or some nonsense like that. And Ensign Tendi is like, "Hey, we wanted to watch the Pulsar together. Like, when are we going to do that?" And Rutherford misunderstands and assumes that because he wants to do this, he needs to change jobs away from engineering. So we get to experience him moving into every department. So he leaves engineering, and of course he's like, hey, maybe I'm gonna leave engineering, and the boss is like, you're gonna what? And he's like, maybe I'm gonna leave engineering, and the boss is like, oh, that's great. Yeah,
I'm so excited for you. Let me help you.
Every time this joke is funny. This joke happens 4 times, so it's 4 departments. Every fucking time it happens, it's funny. It doesn't matter. It's so fucking gold, right? And then of course, so then he goes to command, which is not where he should be.
Yeah.
He does not know how to handle a challenging situation. Arguably, in my opinion, the best joke in the episode is when he sets it to like command scenario 1 and there's just an asteroid in the way, and he's like, they're like, what should we do? And he's like, the Janeway maneuver, and they're like the holograms are like, are you sure about that? And he's like, yeah, the Janeway maneuver. And then, of course, they crash into the asteroid, and they're just, like, spilling kindergartners and elementary school kids out the back of the ship, right? And the first in command, the first officer of the ship, the guy in charge of, obviously, ops crew, command crew, is just like, I've never seen anything happen like this before. Let's do it again, but in a bigger ship with more children. Let's see what we can do.
He's like, there's so many ways that you could fail this, but I've never seen all of this happen.
Yeah, and then of course he's excited about trying to murder more children because the guy's fucking insane, which is gold, right?
So good.
And then Rutherford moves to medical, which is actually where Tendi works, and has no bedside manner, and it's just like, this guy's like dying from warp plasma burns, and he's like, you have like a 17% chance of living, and the guy's just like freaking out, and he's like, no, don't worry, just reduce your pulse, just, because he's half cybernetic Vulcan, you know, and of course, so of course the cat doctor is just like pulls him aside and is like, listen, man, you need to not be here. You are gonna murder people.
Please leave.
Fuck the hell off with that shit, right? And then he goes into security at the last, and just murders like a shitload of Borg because apparently his implant can teach him kung fu and stuff. And they shoot the scene. They shoot a small portion of the scene in the same way that the scenes are shot in Upgrade, which if you haven't seen Upgrade, watch that. That is fucking fantastic movie. Like, really, really good, right?
Yeah.
And so it's in Upgrade, it's very like the robot is controlling his body sort of a thing. And so they do the same thing for Rutherford in engineering, even with the like him standing up all robotically and stuff. It's such a great fight scene, and it's such like a tiny reference. It's like, why would you even do that? But why not? Because it looks so badass. Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
it was so good.
It was such a good fight scene, and of course he gets done like murdering like 27 Borg, and he's just like, I don't know, something like I know kung fu or something like that, and or I didn't know how to do that or whatever, and the guy in charge of engineering is like, in all my years, I make people fight this scenario so they understand how to lose. First off, you're a natural born security officer, and he's just like, okie dokie, like, I guess, man, because he's just like a weird engineering nerd who just got like found out that he's a star quarterback on the freaking DL, you know? So you know, of course he introduces him, and you know, he like is longingly looking at Jeffrey's tubes, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Right?
And he just really wants to be back in engineering the whole time.
He just wants to dig around in engineering.
It's so adorable.
But he's doing this because he doesn't want to like break his promise to his friend, which is Ensign Tendi. So he like finally he's just like, listen, like this is great, but like I miss being in the tubes. I want to go back to engineering. And again, they're like you want to leave us, kind of a thing, you know.
And he's like all scared.
And he's like, and he's like, that's good. You should find your true path and go with your heart on this one. Everybody, give him a round of applause for giving us a try. You go back to engineering because it's like the command crew is crazy assholes, but at the same time, they're really supportive about your career choices, and that's really, I mean, that's the way all business should strive towards, is like, be confidently in charge of your position, but support those beneath you, so that way the whole of your endeavor can increase, as opposed to the way current American business is run, which is like, what if slavery, but with more steps?
Yeah, how dare you leave us?
Yeah, what if we're just pieces of shit to everybody all the time? So it gave you this, through comedy and like silly events and interactions, it gave you that truly Star Trek moment where you understand what Roddenberry was pushing. All right, that utopian society where like everything you do should be you trying to find the path that you want to walk down. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, as much as Star Trek is, you know, diplomacy and laser battles and spaceships, you know, wagon train to the stars, all that stuff. Really, Star Trek is a mirror held up to the problems we have in society, like all science fiction is, but it's held up and lensed through this perfection of humanity. The idea that there's conflict between characters on the ship, but those conflicts are interpersonal and small, because in the grand scheme of things, you listen to those above you, and those above you support you, even though you're below them, and that we can have that sort of system and society that works and benefits and lacks opinion and racism and bias and all this kind of stuff, and the B plot of this really accentuated that, you know, and then of course the moral lesson, because all things in Star Trek are moral. The moral lesson in the A plot is a combination of like live through experience instead of just through study, but at the same time it still spoke of supporting your friends, even if it means, you know, like for Ensign Mariner looking bad.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, you know, she set up the whole Ferengi thing. Yeah. Right? Because towards the end, so her and Boimler are lost, and of course every time Boimler's like, we gotta do this, and she's like, that's a fucking dumb idea, don't do that. And then of course come to find out what he wanted to do was a dumb idea. And so he's like depressed and is like, maybe I shouldn't be in Starfleet, you know, like you've never studied anything and you're so good, and I'm real shit. And she's like, I've like been around and done a lot of shit, which we're slowly learning that she was like a lot in Starfleet. Yeah. And possibly like knocked all the way back down to ensign from maybe even a command position. Yeah. I get the feeling that she would have been like maybe second in command and then went against her captain's orders, and that's why she got knocked down. I have some theories on that, but I'm not certain. But you know, and so like he's so depressed and he's so broken about what he thought he wanted to be and what he thought Starfleet represented. And so she like kind of sets up this ruse with a Ferengi friend of hers, where he like shows up and is trying to do something squirrely, and she's like, "Oh, that's a Bolian. Like, don't worry, we can go with him." And of course, Boimler's just like, "A Bolian? Look at the ears and the hands and the weird grin and the human thing. Like, what are you fucking Bolian up in here? No, we're not gonna go with this guy, right?" And so, like, that all works out, and of course, she set it up to help her friend out so he didn't lose faith in Starfleet and in the Federation. So, I mean, this was really one of those, like, going above and beyond for your friends and the people around you sort of episode, which was nice. It was like, with depth, heartwarming, and having that moral lesson, but in the, like, surface level, it was fucking hilarious. Yeah. It was super entertaining. You got to see, again, more parts of the ship. You got to interact with more parts of the crew. You know, you got to see, like, how people deal in tough situations, so we're getting that character development. Again, this is only episode 2, but we're starting to see where these characters are a little bit more than just, like, standard cookie cutter. Yeah. You know, this ensign is a nerd. This ensign is a, you know, whatever. They're starting to add development and faults and successes within the characters. I really like this episode. I would go so far as to say I like this episode more than the first, but that's primarily because it had Klingons in it.
We've already watched this episode twice.
Yeah, we've seen the episode twice. So. I actually just got done rewatching. We watched it on Thursday when it came out, Thursday night.
And then watched it again
And then I just rewatched it this morning so I could be fresh in memory. Plus, I wanted to rewatch the episode anyway and try to catch some more little side stuff and extra things. But yeah, this was a really great episode. This is on CBS All Access, obviously. Outside of the country, I think it's not. I think outside of the country, CBS puts all of its stuff on Netflix. That's the last thing I heard.
No idea.
But yeah, anywye, CBS All Access is the fucking sauce on that one. But yeah, so this was Star Trek Saturday. God damn it, I have to make a graphic for that. Yep. I've been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. This was Review Jive. We're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks Episode 2, Envoy. And we'll catch you guys for the next one. Yeah.